Welcome to Yeshiva Daf. She responds to Lord Nishvas. I'm Yaakov Shalom Nabas Yitzchok. We're holding in Sanhedrin Daf Chofei. There's a repetition of the Daf that we learned on Shabbos. So like the Mishnah, we're starting at Chodal and base in the bottom. The following are puzzle. Hamesachek bekubio. So we'll see it's a type of gambling that people use with a kubio, with a cube. Ve'amal v'beribis, someone who lends with interest. So we'll see in the Gemara what it means. It is another type of gambling, or it's a way of seducing or attracting birds for their place. The soicher and people that deal or do business with the fruits of shvis. Again, they call them oyster shvis. The name change, and we'll see later why. That's the only business they have. If they have other businesses, so they're kosher. Because that means, we'll see in the Gemara why, if they have another business, that means this is just a side hustle, it's fine. Now, Rashi says that, Rashi brings over here, so when Masalik Bekubi, if you look at Rashi says, the Kula main gazloimim, we're talking about the pasuk says that you should not have a really missing your word, which is 8 chamas. Don't have a dus which 8 chamas. The Torah here explains that the entire Mishnah is only a Isurim Derabbanan, not a Isurim Deraisa. That's also clear from the Gemara later in the Daf. So the Mefarshim point out that you see Rashi is saying 8 chum. He brings the pasuk regarding Isur Darbanan of Mammon. He brings a pasuk that says you can't steal, and he's using that for Isur Darbanan. So what do you see from here? Rashi learns the only Isur Darbanan that's Asur is only the ones which is din of chamas of money. But if it wouldn't be money, so they're not problem with Isur Darbanan. So and this argues in the Rambam because the Rambam learns that the Isur of if a person eats pasuk v'chalav, let's say in a case of a derabbanan, takes chicken with milk, or he's over a yom sheni, so he's not pasuledus. Sorry, he is pasuledus. Rashi will hold he's not pasuledus in these cases. We'll see in a moment. Get to Ribbis why it's Isur derabbanan. So the Gemara, misag b'chubio ma'ikov. What's going on with someone who's gambling? What is he doing wrong? It's a meaning the guy is putting money down because he's sure he's going to win. He doesn't really think he's going to lose. It's not called a smachta. That's argued so. They're not busy with Yishuv Olam, meaning they don't know what's going on in the world. Rashi brings, look at the Rashi in the end of the Mishnah, which speaks of Yudo. They don't know business. Rashi in Kedushin says they are not aware of the struggles that most people go through. They're aloof. They're not connected to the world. That's the problem. Says the Gemara, what's the difference between these two explanations? Let's say he does have another business. Right? Because if he has another business, so he is also Yishuv Shalom. Says the Gemara, second what did nan. So it's the fact that Yudah came and says in the Mishnah, this, if he has another business, okay. You see, that means the only issue is because I know so so the Gemara, he says the problem is a smachta. If you say it's a machlekes. And the first one down in the Mishnah, he holds, it is a problem because of a smachta. So anytime Rav Yudah said, with Avchofei on the top, Emosai Uvame, Emosai Uvame Dvarim, ain't no the Farish TV Chacham, he's only coming to explain Chacham. Meaning, depends. But Emosai is coming to explain. For the cool down, Emosai Farish, and here Rav Yudah says Emosai, he's coming to explain. So they want Gava Karamis, Masor Pligi, Masor Le Pligi. And Rabbi Mecham, he was going to explain the Rabbanan do argue Rav Yudah, and that's why he goes with Rabbanan. So what V'loi Pligi is that Tzat to say they're not arguing? It doesn't matter if he has a business or not. How is it puzzle? So you see, there's clearly one dome that says always puzzle. I hear Rabbi Yehuda Mishur Tafrani. That's Rabbi Yeshiva Daf. Rabbi Yehuda Oimer Mishur Tafrani Lo Yilom Ein Echad Mehem Nozir. Fishlo Yidat Toiv Nazirus El Haflo. Always when you have people trying to get Nazirus, you have to have a flow. What does it mean? As Rashi brings, the case is two people are standing and they see someone passing by. Reuven tells Shimon, if this person is a Nazir, I'm a Nazir. Shimon says, if this person is not a Nazir, I'm a Nazir. So it's basically like a bet. So Rabbi Yehuda says, no one is a Nazir. Because a Nazir has to be half-way. It's has to be very clear in your words. So as Tosfos over here, so what does that have to do with us? There you have a pasuk. So explain to us the second explanation. How do you know to explain that in the word lafli? That means you understand that a smachta means you don't really have full gemiras das. That's what we explain in Nazir. Meal that affects over here as well. That smachta lekanu. Now regarding a smachta, they have very long Tosfos over here, and he comes to explain really what comes out from Rashi. And the summary of it is like this: when a person does something, according to our Gemara, it's not an issue of a smachta. Right? We paskin or Mishnah. It's not a smachta where you're doing a bet. So Rashi brings cases where we do have a smachta. So the chiluk is like this: if it's done, if the smachta is done in a way that everything depends on chance, doesn't depend on him at all, then it's not a smachta. Meaning a person puts a bet. Right? The price can bring regarding a lottery. You want to win a lottery. You know the chances are low, even a slim. So you're not relying. You know that you're putting your money in. Probably you'll lose the money. That's not a smachta. If a person goes and does something which is biyodoi, but he's penalizing himself in a way which makes sense. For example, as Rashi quotes, speaks it, but at the moment here that he said, if I don't work the field, I'll pay you b'mitzvah. I'll pay you quality grain. That's legit. You didn't work the field, you have to pay for the quality grain. So that's also not a smachta. But if a person says, if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, I will pay you 10 times the amount, that's a smachta. It is biyodoi, so he can do it. It is exaggerated because he's sure he's going to be able to do it. He doesn't really mean it. So, and in addition, Tosfos brings a bit of time that if a person does something which he has no gain, only loss, as the Gemara in Enbo Basra, Mishnah Enbo Basra, person puts a shtar in base thing, it says, I paid partially. If I don't pay the full within a certain time, give back the shtar to the lender, meaning I'll have to pay more. That is also a smachta, because I'm not gaining anything for doing this thing. So anytime a person basically puts a bet, he gambles, and he has no gain, and it's in his hand, you assume he doesn't really mean it. That's a little bit of the nekudus over here. Comes out of the Shulchan Aruch paskins that we are choshesh das smachta in our case, and there are more paskins like our Gemara. So it seems to be a machlekes the Sfardim and Ashkenazim, and there's a lot to talk about it. We'll leave you with this. So the Gemara beribis, the Rava beribis. Omar Rava loy beribis posol hedus. Even a borrower is posol hedus. So the Gemara dan malve beribis, only the lender. So the Gemara milda bo beribis. Any loan that costs beribis. Now, what about the fact that is it deraisa? We mentioned derabanan. Tosfos says either it's a ribis she'enu ketutza, meaning only ribis derabanan, or people don't think it's aser. Similar to what we learned about Mitzil. So there are two Eidim that testify against Barbenitus. One said he lent ribis in front of me. He lent to me ribis. Pasle Rovel Barbenitus. Rabbi said he's possible. So more about Rabbi Doma, a little ribis poisoledus, or bar ribis is possible. So why is it not possible over here? This person who says he borrowed. Torah says not to do it. So more of the time you don't correct it. You know the mat makes him Russia. Person cannot testify on himself. The person can't make himself Russia. So what do? As we learned enough tests, you pull in the word. He says this guy lend money, beribis, to me. You don't listen to me. You listen only to the lending. There's this butcher found a treifah on his hands. So we have it, the butcher who was selling treifah. Pastor of Nachman, Berachman Apostle, the Avri, they took him out from being a butcher. Also, Rabbi Mazdi V'Torfi grew his hair and his nails. So Nachman Nachshur, so Nachman says, oh, he made tshuva. Maybe he's tricking the system. Maybe he's just showing that he did tshuva. He didn't really do tshuva. And my takantis, what is the takana? Someone's chashud to sell treifo. And the takan sheilech l'moko sheim makirim. He has to go to a place where nobody knows him. He should return to aveda, which has a lot of value. We take a trade out of his hand when he has a big loss. What does it mean he goes to a place that nobody knows? It means he doesn't think he will benefit from it. It's not that he's in his location showing everybody did tshuva. He's at a different location. Once that happens, if he comes back, we're allowed to become back a butcher. Someone who sends out the birds. What is that? Here they said, which means it's a race between two birds who will get fast. What's aura? Aura is a type of way using a bird or they're using a person who is able to attract birds to come to him. Now, what's the idea? Birds, in general, don't belong to anybody because there's no kinyan in them. But if they're in the location of somebody, you say leave it over there. It says, when it says your bird because you're my bird, why doesn't it explain it's aura? It's not a real gezel, it's only dakashom, so he's not postulatus. Why doesn't say the race? So that's exactly gambling. What's the difference? It's too active in toilet. There is something that depends on himself, meaning he's gambling with he needs to win, and one is he's letting his bird race. It's really in both cases. He does based on himself. He's not really meaning he's gonna agree if he loses. Why? The Almighty says, he says, I'm a good gambler. I'll actually do it. But if he's doing it, but that's on his bird, then he knows it's by chance. He doesn't know if his bird's going to come first. He's putting in the bird, says the bird, I know I make some noises, make the bird go faster. I know how to push the bird faster. That's why I need both cases. Now, interesting enough, the way the Gemara is saying over here is that this has to do with the smachta, not because Einu Skim Yeshiva Shaloyla. So Rav Kiva Eger puts this out. If you look at the Madav, Kiva Eger has a very long cheshbon to come and say that maybe this can work also just from the opposite. Meaning you do Einu Skim Yeshiva Shaloyla, but a smachta kanyo. The chiddush of smachta kanyo, that's what I need to tell you that here, why would I think a smachta lo kanyo? It says the Gemara, continue on. Meisirei. Hamisachik bekubyo. Before brings out a question to bring a raya regarding the one who sends the bird. So someone who plays with the kubyo. Elohim misachikim. What is misachikim? Elohim. Hamisachikim defisfisim. They play with these little pieces of wood. The little pieces of little klippei. Goizim, the peels of nuts. The klippei remaining, the peels of the pomegranates. The matay chazarosum. When is their tshuva accepted? They're going to break these pieces of wood, which is not necessarily needed. They do a chazar that they won't do it even if they won't have money. They won't do it, even though it's no Yisr. What is that? So when they do chazar tshuva, they're going to tear their stars, even though they lose also the principle. They won't let him into a guy. So first of all, here the already says, you see that when a person needs to do tshuva, he needs to go to the other extreme. Similar to the Rambam, it says when a person wants to fix himself, he has to go to the other extreme. Now here, the chiddush over here is that the chiddush over here is regarding when you do it, even things you're allowed to do, we're still requiring not to do it. Now here there's an interesting nekudo regarding about lending to a guy. Why? Because lending to a guy, one could say, are you allowed to lend to a guy? So we're doing what you're allowed to lend to a guy, but you should not do too much because a person needs to not to get trained himself to lend the ribbis. So therefore, what do? You lend a a little bit. And the Rambam learns lending a little bit is a mitzvah. Lanochri toshech. So you see over here, you're going to avoid a mitzvah to do tshuva. So come something according, yes. One who has to go to the extreme, even for that to an extent. And Beis Hashem will be married this more in the Shomach Shom on the Daf. Continues the Gemara, it says, what is that? They are the ones that are called trading the yonim. Right? Even the other animals, we'll get back to that in a moment. That makes noise. They don't do it even in the desert when they don't steal from anybody. So now, just to point out, Rashi already says, if it's in the midbar, it has to be the lashon of ara. They're tracking the birds. In the midbar, there's no ara. The more is right now, according to the other sheet, you have to say that Rashi says you have to say even bechinam le'avdi. They don't do it even if they don't make any money. So what's the shviz? El shenoisim v'noisim per shviz. They want to do business with shviz. V'tay chazuros v'shtagi a shviz acheres. You have to wait for the next shviz. And they won't do it. Not only they say they do tshuva, el chazos moment they have to pay back. I need plenty kidnasti, but I zuz beper shviz. I made money for shviz money, for shviz fruits. Fair to leave I have to give it to that name. That's the chazor. So the work time miyad be'emo. It says animal. If it's a race, understand the animal. Do animals we have such a thing where you attract animals to come? Right? They've shut, right? There will be. Right? That they're going to come and bring other behemoths with her to the house. They're going to be, if you have, like Rashi says, if you have a behemoth attracting other wild animals, that animal will be killed by the wild animals. Says the Gemara in B'Shur Habar. Talk about Shur Habar. Shur Habar is a type of ox, it looks more, it's a wild ox, and is able to attract animals to come, and the Gezel is because Dark Shalom, right? Bringing from the Biborim, as Rashi says. In other words, it's not a full, if it's a full Gezel, of course you can't talk about it. Talk about it going out to wild places. So you have to have the only specific case. In that case, it says the Gemara, Shur Habar mean Behimu. Why call it Behimu? That's the Bandom of the Behimu. Nan Shabar min Behimu, here Beisur min Chayo. So if you hold the Behimu, you can explain this price. Says the Gemara, they added to the list the Gazlonim v'Chamsonim. So the Gemara goes, Gazlon Doraisu. Gazlon Doraisu. Talk about someone who a Chereshet Koton find a Mitzia, it's not really theirs. Of course, so it says Chereshet Koton L'Shchicha, it's not so common, and Pidaka Shor Be'almo, so Daka Shorim, Kevan Dechos V'Soisim Amoinu Dekashakli. See, they're taking money that's not theirs. But still, Rabbanon said these are not trustworthy people. HaChamsonim Yikos, so D'mei Kayov, Akrei Be'almo. They're giving money. And Akrei Be'almo, of course, you say these words or not. So clearly Rashi learns, as Rachanim learned in the Taisis, that at the beginning they would wait for the person to say I'm selling. They would force the person to sell. Forcing a person to sell works. Tell you is Zavin, Zavin is Vinny. If you force someone to sell, it's a good sale. But here they would what happened? They started throwing the money, just taking without waiting for them to say yes. So that was the issue. And in general, Taisus brings the question, what about the problem? You're not allowed to want something for somebody else. So we have the one moment here that says that people assume that Usakba is below money, below to pay mashmal. And the sheet that's around them that holds, even if it is without money, if you do pay money, it's Usakba. So there's more about that the Sugin moments here. So what they added the shepherds, the gaboim or the tax collectors, the with the customs, the ones who are standing in the bridges and the ports and take taxes. It happens that they take the animals to other fields. To put the animals in other fields, goes to Rabbanim. Rabbanim agrees. They're just taking the tax. They're supposed to tax. Today, once they start taking too much, they bring it possible. Shepherd doesn't matter which animal it is, if it's a domestic animal, not domestic animal. So if you do be'im dakar, that's possible, because they ruin the fields. B'chutzos kshem. B'chutzos are kosher. Rabbi Magaso do b'etzor kshem. Even etzor is kosher. So why are you saying here the puzzle? Who are megadli mikvah? They were talking about people that are raising them. That's okay. But shepherds, they are the ones that take the animals to other people's fields. So that makes sense. We brought it for example. A person takes somebody who's not kosher, one that says not kosher leidus. What was the example? Roy Bakar. You see the shepherds are not kosher. So my love leidus. So ledino. Talk about for din. Not because they're not kosher, because they don't know the halachas. They can have the Ketani Shloisha Roy Bakar. It's a Shloisha Roy Bakar. Why 3? Should be 2. Yileidu Shloisha Lamal. So the more Lamai Ladino talk about the din. My year Shloisha Roy Bakar called me closer to Lagami Din and Nami. So if it's just because they don't know halachas, why are you talking about a shepherd? Speak about someone who doesn't know Torah. Even these 3 that are not in the place. Similar to the gamblers, they're not involved in the business world. They're out there in the fields. So I think maybe it doesn't really mean it. You say it's still okay to be the dive. Similar to the Stam Roy puzzle. Roy Stam is puzzle. We assume he's a guy. Stam Gabay kosher. Someone collects taxes as kosher. Stam. What about Stam Moiches? Rambam says Stam Moiches is puzzle. Why is that so? Because a Gabay usually takes a tax that the king gave him to do. The Moiches, the Mephosh explained, he's the customs. He takes whatever he wants. So therefore, it's more a psul. So that's why we find throughout Shas, always the Moichsim, or the very low level people. And the more brings a raya, a story that you see that a Gabay can be a tzaddik. The father of Zero, he was the Gabay of taxes for 13 years. Became the head of the river, which means the one responsible for that location, the Goy, Lamato. Now, they would do taxes based on the amount of people. So you want to make sure that he doesn't think there are too many people in the city. He saw Rabbanon, told him, go hide with a pasuk. He saw other people in the city. The head of the river is coming. He's going to check the father part of the son part of the father. He didn't say to go hide. It was a remizo. So the first explained, to be chacham, you trust him. They're not going to come and tell other people. But these people may come to the ears of the Reish Bato. So therefore, the Reish Dari, he says, he's coming, he's geschect everybody. If you understand, you understand. If not, not. And there's something more that everybody went in hiding. Then he came to Reish Dari, he says, who do you want to take money from? Nobody is here. So don't increase taxes. So when the father of Zerah was nifter, he take 13 mice that are in my handkerchief, give it back to this person. I took it from him, I didn't need it. I think the Ben Yodef, if I'm mistaken, brings you the explanation that he took the money because he was supposed to pay the taxes, but then the Reish Dara gave up on these taxes. So even though the guy who gave it up with Leif Shalom, and he couldn't keep it to himself, he was very happy to give it back to the person. So you see how big of a tzaddik he was. He was such a big tzaddik. He was so careful not to take any more money than needed. Even if someone gave him the money, but Leif Shalom, he still gave it back to him. When he died, that was in his mind. After 13 put aside that I overtook, please pay it back to the one who gets it back. So you see from here that a gabay of taxes can be a tzaddik gadol. So with this we conclude this daf, and Reza Hashem will continue from here in the next daf.